Welcome back. Welcome back. And of course, welcome back.
What's up, bro?
It's the BoxN1 podcast. How you doing?
Blessed and highly favored.
Word. I'm alive, so I'm doing great. Great. And for those watching, if you don't know, I'm your host, Ralph Wright, and I'm here with my co-host, Elise Clyburn.
What's up?
Say hi to the people.
What's up, people? I'm Elise. Used to play ball, used to coach ball. Now I talk about ball. What's up?
A point guard.
Something like that.
We had some battles in practice.
Yeah, we did.
It was fun, though. It was fun. But if you didn't know, we had probably the world's coolest handshake. So.
Oh, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. I kind of still remember it, but not really.
I remember a little bit, not 100%. But listen.
We old school now.
Chill. Old is not in my vocabulary.
So listen, what's up?
We're here now.
We got the last division.
We're here to talk about the Pacific Division. You know, you got to save the best for last.
Okay. Arguably, yeah. But one team, yeah.
Nah, there's more than one team. These teams are great.
No. I said arguably all of them, but one team for right now, but we'll get there.
Yeah, so we'll get there. We're going to dive into the Pacific Division. We're going to tell you our prediction as far as Coach of the Year, MVP, MIP, Rookie of the Year for this division. You know, if you haven't heard or you heard it before, you're going to hear it again. We're super excited for the 75th year. The league is deep. There's so much depth and talent from top to bottom on every team. So I'm ready to dive in. I know Elise is ready to dive in. She's, yeah. You see, she's writing her notes.
I am writing my notes. I just realized I didn't write my notes. So I got to write my notes real quick.
She's writing her notes, and I'm going to throw a curveball. So we're going to start outside of California. And we're going to start with the reigning Western Conference champions.
Let's get it.
Last time we seen this team, they got 50-pieced.
They did get 50-piece, but they got 50-piece by arguably one of the most freakish players ever played the game. So
no excuses, because we're going to talk about this series, because for some time throughout that series, we thought Chris Paul was throwing the series after game 2. Mm-hmm. After game 2, we're like, whoa, what Chris Paul is this?
I mean, some could say he was throwing the series, but we also have to remember that was the first time he's ever been there. If you ain't never been there, dog, you don't know how to act. That was the first time he made it to the Western Conference Finals.
What happened when Shaq made it to the finals his first time?
It was shaky.
No, it wasn't. It was dominant. He was dominant.
In Orlando?
He was dominant.
Okay. Yeah, but like the team didn't win. Listen.
Listen.
It's kind of been the monkey. That's been the monkey on Chris Paul's
Listen, was Penny Shake?
No, it literally came down to free throws. Like 4 free throws.
I say this because you're talking Chris Paul is hands down going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
Facts.
He's been in the league for quite some time. A lot of times, you know, the reason why he didn't make it to the championship is because of injuries. This is the first time we've seen him maybe not be injury-free throughout the playoffs, but be there long enough where his injuries didn't actually hurt his team.
Okay.
So, you know, that was everybody there. It was their first time.
Yeah.
So there's no, I'm not giving him a pass on that. I like what they brought in last year. You know, Monty Williams got robbed Coach of the Year. He should have been Coach of the Year last year. They returned pretty much their same team. I love the addition of Shamet that they got over the year. Over the course of the offseason.
I think now that Coach Monty has, now the preseason to actually properly introduce Shamet, it's going to be really cool to see.
But they just got him in the offseason, so yeah.
I'm just saying gonna be nice to see. He
And
actually has obviously instead of midway through the season,
yeah.
which he possibly could have done. I mean
Mhm.
they have some time.
Now Shamit's a guy that can go get threes and he can set the table for other people. So
Yeah.
I see him being that backup for both Chris Paul and Booker, just in case Cam Payne isn't, campaign isn't playing up to a specific level. But he's another one that we have to talk about improvement. Like his improvement last year was great, especially how he played in the playoffs. They got him on a super, super friendly deal. He was maybe a half a season away from being out of the league in general, being out.
Yeah.
That just tells you one, how deep the position is in the league. And hey, just because you're a lottery pick doesn't sustain or guarantee you sustainability in the league, longevity. And we'll talk about that later on too. JaVale, great signing for them.
Really good.
Because
they needed it.
I mean, I think part that nobody talks about is with Phoenix is Sarge getting hurt and tearing his ACL.
I mean, that was major, and that's a solid guy, smart, he plays hard. And now you bring in an energy guy who over the course of his career has matured so much. He was also in three championships, correct? He also is a gold medalist now. So these are things that are invaluable.
It's either 3 or 2, but either way, he's a champion.
He's a champion.
He's a champion.
And gold medalists. And like there's fewer gold medalists than there are champions. So
for a reason. I'm anxious to see. Do you think Booker takes a leap this year?
He was also a gold medalist as well. So like if we look at past history on players who went to the Olympics for the first time and then returning, like the play that sticks out the most to me is when Dwayne Wade went to his first Olympics. When he came back, it was Wade County. I mean, he was already on that trajectory.
He won the championship that next year.
Correct. Like his career just jumped to the next level.
Ironically, they got Shaq that year too, but yeah.
But there's just things that just he became the Flash after.
Yes.
There's other players. We look at that trajectory. It's it's just a confidence booster. Like I'm here. This is there's a lot of players who won. Not everybody wins the NBA championship. Like I said, very few players win the Olympic gold. And honestly, when he actually made it over to the when him and Middleton actually made it over there and Holiday when they made it over to Japan, the team looked different. They started playing different.
I mean, you got guys that are already in shape though. They didn't have an off season. Yeah. They just came straight off finals.
But that's another good point. He's staying in shape because he was able to play competitive basketball throughout the summer. So I think I think him sniffing the gold, sniffing the championship, I think that just drives him further, It's gonna be interesting.
It's gonna be a tough year for them. I think that's just like you mentioned, that continuation. And I don't know if we really brought it up when we discussed the Central Division in the Bucks, but he's gonna need rest throughout the season. So, bringing in a guy like Shedman, I think is key for them. Because once again, this is a guy that can go get his own, but he can put up numbers if he's healthy. And then I'm looking for Cam Johnson to take a next step. Cam Johnson and Mikal Bridges to take that next step. Between those guys, and then Crowder is going to be Crowder. He's meats and potatoes at this point when it comes down to we're going to get from him. Still have a player like him on your team is always key. He's been on winning teams. I can't think about a team where he's been on the team and he wasn't, like, they weren't a playoff team. And then does Ayton take that next leap to be in that ring of fire when we're talking top 5 bigs in the league?
Well, I mean, this past season was a step up for him. So I think for sure, 100% for sure. So I think this team's going to get better. I think even if I don't, so I'm looking at my board right now. for Phoenix. I have them being a playoff team.
Mhm.
And now technically have a playoff team. I have them possibly being the number one overall team coming out the West.
Mhm.
Again, coaching is everything. We say that. There's very little difference in these teams.
Mhm.
Coaching is everything.
Less is
And
more.
there you go.
And they've done a lot less, and it's really plug and play right now for them. They already
Yeah.
have their core guys. Hey, you know what you have to do, but you also have to improve at the same time. So you have to be better at that position. I mean, I don't really have much to say. Like I said, I honestly felt like Monty got robbed Coach of the Year last year. Does he get opportunity to get Coach of the Year this year? They would have to be a number one seed in order for him to even be in that consideration again.
They went from possibly not even making. They went from the bubble year.
Yeah.
Being a possible, not really making the playoffs, but possibly being a playing team to like 1 year later, we're in the finals. Like
when we talked before, I said Phoenix was like before last season, me and you had talked, and I said Phoenix is a playoff team. And you said, we had that conversation. You didn't buy into them. And I said
wasn't against it. I wasn't against it only because of how Chris Paul looked in OKC.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, I can see it, but like they're gonna go to the playoffs, which is gonna be huge.
Yeah. My thing is this, and I want people to understand this. Chris Paul didn't have as big of effect on the Suns as the media made it seem. 2 years ago, right in the bubble, right before the bubble, right? That was the first time that Booker played with a natural point guard.
First time.
And rookie and Rubio.
Who was his point guard and who was his point guard in
when he was drafted? Oh, I don't even know because he ain't in the league.
You're pretty.
It was the Twins.
But think about it, he's not even in the league.
Yeah.
This is the first time
he's played with a real point guard. Like like when we talk passers, like we just mentioned it before when we were talking about the Northwestern Division, like Rubio is one of the top 10 passers in the league.
Yeah.
So now you put a shooter like Booker, and I had this conversation with Pounds when they signed Rubio, and I said Rubio's a great pickup because now Booker doesn't have to work so hard for his shots and have to create for others. It eases the load because the point guard's going to give it to him in his pocket. A good passer is going to give it to him in his pocket. So we started to see the fruits of that because Phoenix was getting ready to click right before the COVID shutdown. So I wasn't surprised that they won 8 games in a row.
Right.
And the COVID, I was just disappointed that they didn't get an opportunity to actually play in the playoffs after doing that. But the end of the day, bro, I look at it like this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to bro you, but at the end of the day, I don't say, hey, Chris Paul is the reason why this team did this. This team was already on that trajectory. We talked about Ayton 2 years ago and said Ayton about year 4 or 5 could take that leap. And now, and in the playoffs, he showed signs. Now we need him to be consistent in those things. If Ayton ever became a good weak side defender, Ayton could easily jump into that because we know what he could do offensively. Our thing, it wasn't offense, it was defense. We know Ayton could shoot. We know Ayton could go to the basket. We know Ayton is nice around the basket. He's a fish around the basket. We know he's a good shooter at the free throw line. You're really going to see 3-pointers from him. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So, but at the end of the day, he needs a big leap. I don't know how seeing 3 players in his class that was drafted with him getting a $200 million contract.
Shut your boy.
I don't know how that affects him. So we'll see.
I think this is organization telling him, you're not doing the little things for us. Defense.
Yeah. But hey, this is the number 1 pick.
Yeah.
Luka, Trey, and Michael Porter Jr. got $200 million contracts.
And this was the number 1 pick. So who we going to next, big dog? Because I think we hit Phoenix on the head.
We hit Phoenix, and we're going to go to Cali. I'm going back. to Kelly. Hey.
Okay.
But we're gonna go to the bottom of Cali. Well, it's really the top, but bottom bracket wise.
So we're going to Sacktown?
Sacktown.
All right.
I have a friend in Sacktown. Shout out to them. I got a couple people I know in Sacktown. So shout out to them. One went to St. Leo with us. So
okay, so who we got? What you got with them?
Ah man, where to begin? Fire Luke.
He gotta go, dog. He's by far the worst coach in the NBA.
This is
he is the worst coach in the NBA. This is one of those things where you fail up. You just fail up. Like this is there's a constant theme where certain people failing up. So he has got to go. There's no reason why we should be hearing trades of Fox.
I don't think that's not him. That's management. That's management talking. So
it possibly could be him too.
It's management. But you got to understand. So didn't they just get rid of Vlade?
Yeah.
All right. Walton was a Vlade guy. Fox is a Vlade guy. Yeah, Bagley's a Vlade guy. Right? I say this because Buddy's not a Vlade guy. But Vlade signed Buddy.
Mm-hmm.
I would hot take, but this is a team that I'm looking at that's going to probably have a fire sale if they're not in contention, meaning they have to be anywhere between 5 and 6 after December.
It's not happening.
December and January. That's where they need to be in standings in the West. They need to be about 5 or 6. Here's the thing. They got hurt. They had a lot of injuries last year.
You said by January?
Yeah. They at least the beginning of January, they have to be a 5th or 6th seed in order before that fire sale hits. That fire sale is going to start if they're looking at the bottom of the West. If they're at the bottom of the West, Bagley's going to probably get traded. Buddy's probably going to get traded. I don't see them trading Fox, but the way Tyrese Halliburton played last year. And
you want me to tell you their first games in October, who they're facing?
Yeah.
You tell me how's going to come out.
Golden State's one of them, right?
Listen, Portland.
That's a 50-50 game for them.
At Portland, versus Utah, versus Golden State, at Phoenix, at New Orleans, at Dallas.
They probably won 2 games.
Now in November, I'm going to just go through all their November games. At Utah, New Orleans.
They beat New Orleans.
Charlotte.
They beat Charlotte. They beat Indiana.
They're not beating Charlotte.
They're going to beat Charlotte and Indiana.
They're not beating Charlotte.
Is it in Charlotte or is it in Sacramento?
Charlotte. They're not beating Charlotte.
Wait up. What's the game difference? What's the game difference? What's the day difference between the game before and the game after and Charlotte?
2 days.
They're gonna win.
They're not. No. So
they're gonna win Charlotte.
They're not. So they're going to New Orleans, then Charlotte. Yeah, think about this.
Have you watched them play this preseason?
Dude, listen to me, please. They're coming from California, where the mandates on vaccines and how players can operate is totally different. They're coming to the South, where we have almost no mandates. Okay. These players can go out, they're vaccinated, they can go out, they can do whatever. They're gonna actually feel kind of free.
Which one? There's only like 12 players or 20 players in the league that aren't vaccinated, and none of them played for Sacramento.
I hear you. There's certain mandates as far as going out. In the city.
I'm just saying they don't have any unvaccinated players. So
I don't think you're understanding what I'm saying.
You think they're gonna catch? Do you think they're gonna catch the vid? You think they're gonna be out catching the vid?
No, it's not anything about catching the vid. Things in California are shut down. Certain things that you can do is shut down. Like the clubs still aren't what the clubs are, what they are here in the South. Like in Orlando, you go out to Orlando, you got to Tampa. It's but wild all the time. You go to places in
not Charlotte.
Same thing in Charlotte.
No, the clubs ain't like that in Charlotte.
Have you been? Because I have. It's lit. It's lit.
Not for an NBA player.
It's especially lit for an NBA player. So anywho, let's get back. They're going against Phoenix, against San Antonio, against OKC. They're going to beat Detroit. Yeah, they're going to beat San Antonio. They're going to beat Detroit. Then they play against Minnesota. Then they play at Toronto. Then they play again Utah, Philly, Portland, LA Lakers, Memphis, LA Lakers.
Time out. Are they getting their Utah games out in the first 2 months?
Yep. So now you like they're not going to do it by January. They're going to be a dumpster fire. It's going to be a dumpster fire.
Because the second half of the season is going to be light for them.
but they're going to be so far behind. And by that time, we're looking at teams who are realizing, oh crap, we got to win because we don't want to be a play-in tournament team. Or you got the bottom who's like, we could be a play-in tournament team. This is going to be terrible for them. They're not. Is Bagley playing?
Bagley's not hurt. I watched the other night. He didn't play.
Is he playing?
I'm not the coach.
Correct.
He needs to play. So, but my thing is this, and here's my thing with Bagley. I see Bagley finding his way on the Celtics.
I'm okay with that. That's okay.
The Celtics need bigs. I mean, the Kings got Tristan Thompson. I'm surprised that the Celtics didn't get him when they traded Tristan Thompson to them. Like that. So, but that's hypotheticals. Rashawn Holmes played good last year, right? Tyrese Maxey plays good. Davion Mitchell's been playing really, really, really good, and he's been leading that second unit. But they've also had a lineup where it's been Fox, Halliburton, and Davion Mitchell. And Davion Mitchell has been playing really, really superb defensively, taking a load off of Fox. And actually, Fox has been more of a second guard, and Halliburton has been the lead guard. What I do want to say is, I know we talked about how there's an Oregon bias in the NBA. I want to say how Iowa State has had a lot, or has had some gems come out these past few years. Yeah. Like we mentioned George Niang recently, but now, Tyrese Halliburton, who had a great year, a great rookie year. And from everything, it looks like he's going to have a really, really good sophomore year.
Yeah.
Barnes has been shooting good. Like I've been watching them play with their style. Barnes has been really that bridge. And I want to say they go as far as he goes, because between Holmes and Barnes, I think they've been playing better than what most people would state them as far as their expectations for those guys. But they need to get rid of Buddy.
You think so?
I think Buddy, behind closed doors is like, listen, I want to be out. I think he's being real professional about it. I'm almost positive that Sacramento probably tried to get in that Ben Simmons sweepstakes. If I'm the Nets, Fox and Buddy for Kyrie.
That would be a good pickup for them. That'd be a good pickup. That'd be a good pickup. But they're probably more, but it's all right.
The problem with Philly is Philly wants so many draft picks. And it's like, bro, you're not getting these draft picks.
Not in these next couple years.
You can get bodies off of this Kings team, but but anyway, I see a fire sale. But I also see that if Luke actually gets in his bag as a coach,
not happening.
We've seen other coaches that were like, yo, you probably should get fired, and look what happened. They won the championship.
Yeah.
So you never know what could happen, especially if they all buy into it and buy into his system. So I'm done with the Kings, man. I think I'm much to say about them.
Me too.
Now is the real fun.
We going to the Bay?
I want to go to the Bay, but I kind of don't right now.
No, let's go to the Bay.
I want to touch the Clippers before I touch the Warriors. I want the Warriors and the Lakers to be
whatever. Let's go
but you know what? You the co-host, you leading. You go. All right, we're gonna go to the Bay. Let's go to the Bay.
I say let's go to the Bay.
Let's E40 it.
Okay.
Tell me where to go. Tell me where to
go. The little yuck face, yeah. So with Golden State Warriors, right?
Yep.
You have Steph Curry. He's gonna be Steph. Steph's gonna stuff, right? Like it doesn't matter. I think the rules that are the new rule changes with some of the shots and how defenders can contest and like the offensive player can't throw their body in. Steph has been the quickest one to react to how these rules are going to be how these rules are now going to affect.
41 and 3/4.
Correct. He's figured it out right that quickly.
But I told you we knew that was going to come.
Yeah, that's scary. I like Jonathan Kaminga. I didn't think I was going to like him with them.
Oh, okay. Because I was about to say, I know you was on the Kaminga train when he was in J League Ignite. Like me and you, that was one of the players that me and you outside of Jalen Green. I was like, look, this is the only player I see that could get drafted over Jalen Green, and I wouldn't be mad.
So I didn't think I was going to like him with the Warriors.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not mad at it, right? I think the only thing I have an issue with, right? You know, like, I can't wait for Klay Thompson to come back.
Mm-hmm.
The only hesitancy I have, and it's for things off the court, is with Draymond. Draymond did that interview with KD and was very vocal about his disdain with how certain things were handled with the front office. And the reason why I say that is because from everything I've read and everything I've seen or heard, is like there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen with Golden State. Mm-hmm. So let's just say, Draymond is being as vocal as ever. Mm-hmm. Why not trade him for Ben?
Listen, I'm gonna keep it a buck. Draymond ain't getting traded. Steph and Klay, Draymond, Steph, and Klay are warriors until they choose to bow out. The way the Warriors are set up right now, they're set up for now and the future. Draymond, my thing is this. You don't think Draymond had those conversations with them before? The way Draymond is, I know that conversation happened, right? But yeah. I also know that he's probably told them even before, like, listen, I'm gonna be honest. You got to think that was 3 years ago. They're accepting of that. They wouldn't have offered him that re-up contract if they thought otherwise.
Yeah.
So I had this conversation before with a friend, and I told him, I was like, look, don't buy into what everybody's saying. Oh, it's the controversy. Like, no, that is Draymond's personality. Only a few players in the league can get away with being so upfront and direct about their exchange with management.
Okay.
And because of who they are.
Now let's get off of Dre, right? Let's talk about a little bit about Jordan Poole.
Wait up, before we go to Poole, I want to say this about Dre. It wasn't until Dre came back from injury last year where Golden State actually started hitting, and Steph went from, because remember, everybody's like, oh, that's not the same Steph. That's not the same Steph. And then next thing you know,
Steph by himself.
Yeah.
Steph by himself.
Yeah. And then at the same time, those guys were still learning the system or the flow. I won't say the system, but they were learning flow. And you mentioned Jordan Poole. Man, listen.
Man, so what I read was, while Klay has been, ever since Jordan Poole joined Golden State, he has been working out religiously with Klay.
Yep.
And even during Klay's rehab, guess who he's rehabbing with?
Jordan Poole.
And you're seeing the benefits of that training. I mean, if you're working out with one of the greatest shooters the NBA has seen, eventually that shot's going to start falling. And I mean, the confidence level, right? So now we're talking Steph, Draymond. When Klay comes back, you can always shoot in this NBA, in this league. JJ Redick proved that to us. There's always Duncan Robinson's proved that to us. There's always need for a shooter. Don't have to do much. Just stand there, be open, shoot when you get it, right?
You just got to make it.
You just got to make it. Now you got Jordan Poole.
And
also extending his range and becoming more it's going to be fun.
And now, and his handle has improved. And that's the part, because everybody's like, yo, what's the one team that nobody's talking about that you think that can make the championship? And I'm like, Golden State. They're like, why? I said, they didn't change much from their core. Wiseman got hurt, and he barely has played basketball in 2 years.
And then I forget about Wiseman. Like, we're talking about Wiseman, who was just a freaking nature beast in that position. We're talking about Wiggins, who still averaged 20 points a game. Guys, like,
not only that, Steph missed 10 games. If Steph plays those 10 games, where is Golden State in the standings?
Up. Like, I have right now, like, we'll go over this, in our next little pod. Mm-hmm. But I have Golden State being a playing team.
Mm-hmm.
That's a scary playing team.
I'm going to be honest, because Golden State is going to pace themselves. They're going to get more wins than people think to start the season out, especially if Draymond and Steph are healthy. Kaminga being hurt right now kind of puts him behind the 8 ball, because out of him and Moody, I thought he was the rookie that was going to, benefit the most with Klay being gone right now. Jordan Poole playing lights out. They bring in Otto Porter. I think he's not going to really hit until about January, February, kind of like Oubre. I don't think he's gonna come out running out the gates. I think there's an adjustment he has to make.
Hey, I'm so sorry. Let me go turn this light so I can stop like looking like a ghost over here. So I think Kaminga, I think he has an opportunity to actually be a rookie of the year, especially with Klay Thompson out. He's gonna get more PT. Mm-hmm. Even if like I'm gonna tell you right now, that's gonna be my rookie of the year pick out of this conference. Like this dude, this guy, he wants to score, and he's on the perfect team where all he has to worry about is defense and score.
He makes Wiggins expendable when he's ready. I just don't think he's gonna get the minutes off rip. Is he a dog? Yes. I think he's ready to go, you know. But like I said, he hurt I think it was like a knee injury he has right now. He's nursing. Mm-hmm. So, you know, how that goes is gonna determine how quick he can actually get in a lineup. I mean, that Golden State lineup is probably one of the hardest lineups to break. Jordan Poole can play the 2 and 3. You know, Kaminga is a 3 on this team. You know, Wiseman being gone, you know, opens it up. But their only weakness right now with Wiseman gone right now is Kevin Looney.
Yeah.
He I watch him and I'm like, bro, like, I can't believe you were a top 5, 10 high school player. And you played small forward at one point, you know, because of his lack of athleticism. I like what he does as a team player, you know, what he adds to the team, but what he's missing hurts them.
Yeah.
Especially from that position. That position needs, you know, he plays his role perfectly. It's just, there's just the thing, he needs athleticism.
Yeah.
And he doesn't have it. And, you know, I mean, Golden State. You know, I got them as high as they can go, as high as 2, you know, as low as playing game.
For sure.
Just range wise. Because
I personally, for me, I think that falls, what is Klay when he comes back? What is Dre? Does Dre stay healthy? Does his team stay healthy? You know, we know the coaching staff. I mean, like coaching staff can coach. So, and the players they have can play. They're gonna put some points now.
And
this is one
they
thing.
brought in, and I'm glad you mentioned coaching. They brought in Kenny Atkinson.
There you go. So they now this is one thing that has changed. But I want to say between their preseason games, they're now taking the highest amount of shots per game. They're taking something like 98 shots a game.
They get on the court.
They're taking over 65% of their shots have been threes. Mm-hmm. No one's putting up shots. No one's gonna be putting up the amount of shots and the amount of threes like they are. So I think this is gonna be fun. This is gonna be a lot of fun.
Let's just put it this way: if Poole and Steph go off on the same night, it's a guaranteed win for them. You know, especially with Wiggins hitting, because Wiggins is still able to do what he's been doing. He's comfortable in that corner 3. Plus, if you sleep, he's cutting to the hole, and then, you know, he's athletic enough to, you know, go over the top and finish. So, you know, Golden State. I think this is a year that, you know, Kerr's gonna have to show that he can really coach. You know, but like I said, bringing in Atkinson, that's gonna help those young guys. I mean, that's it with Golden State. What can you really say about them? You know what I'm saying? Like, what can you say about them that hasn't been said?
Nothing.
So let's go to La La Land. Let's talk them Clippers.
Okay, let's talk. I'm gonna be honest. I don't have much to say about the Clippers.
I got a lot to say.
I'll let you do most of the talking. Like, you know, I have nothing to say. I'm just gonna make it real quick. Okay, so I'm gonna make a quick joke. I saw on Twitter someone said Leonard finally spent his VC on buying gear. He's been sleeved up and headband up. I think this year is gonna be a good year for him and Paul George. Personally,
he's still hurt.
How long is he gonna have?
He's out indefinitely.
Oh well, then
it's a knee injury.
Then let's get out here. Sorry. I don't pay attention. I'm paying attention. I was hoping they were gonna be something, do something.
They're so underwrapped about his injury, but you gotta understand it's a knee injury. He has surgery in the summer. I believe it was an ACL when you look at it. I don't see him coming back until maybe March, if he does come back. But that depends on where they're at. I think that's why he signed the extension. They got Paul George with the extension. They just re-upped Trey Mann for 2 years. Who I like. Like I really like Trey Mann. Not Trey Mann, Terrence Mann. This is a kid that, I've been aware of since he was like a sophomore, actually probably his freshman year in high school when he played for BABC. And then he also went to Tilton in New Hampshire. So, and he's fresh off of that George Nyangus, Wayne Selden, Nerlens Noel, Tilton group, right? So, he developed really, really well in Florida State. He's a good fit for them. He's developed.
Can we take a pause? Florida State, man, talking about being a haven for that small forward position right now. The last 4 years.
Longer than that. Because Dwayne Bacon been in the league for a minute. So
okay. Yeah, Dwayne Bacon's been in the league for a minute, but I'm just looking at like these crazy, long, athletic players who also play defense.
But that's Leonard Hamilton. You gotta remember when we played them in 2013, I think they had 4 7-footers.
Right. Like it's actually crazy. It's actually impressive that Florida State has been doing that quietly.
Yeah. I mean, and you got to understand, it wasn't until after, I think they had a time where when Leonard Hamilton was there, they weren't getting top flight high school All-Americans. Then they get Dwayne Bacon. Then a couple years later, they get Isaac, because they were supposed to get Isaac and Kevin Knox.
Yeah. Right. Okay, so the information about Kawhi just changed everything that I'm thinking, right? But that's what I forgot.
But this team is stacked. This team has a player who I think could eventually think could be a steal in this draft. And Brandon Boston. His talent and skills there. This is a guy who, he needs the right people around him right now. He's still in a grieving period. Because the thing is with grieving, you don't know how long it's going to take for somebody, to grieve. I remember watching Clutch. They did their pro combine, and then they showed the video of Terrence Clark, and that hit Brandon Boston. I mean, it's tough,
Yeah.
That's tough, but between him, their second round picks, I think they hit nothing but home runs in the draft between Brandon Boston, between Justin Preston, who is also hurt, so he's gonna miss some time. I think he's probably gonna miss half the season, or he's gonna miss the whole season. I'm not sure about that whole thing, but he's another one that they bring in Eric Bledsoe, they bring him back. They're now athletic. I'm not the biggest Eric Bledsoe fan, but now when you look at his role there, is different than what his role was in New Orleans, different what his role was in Phoenix. So, and different what his role was in Milwaukee. So
I'm about done with this team.
I mean, they got Justice Winslow.
Still done. I think it's time to talk about it, dog.
I want to talk about them, but before I talk about them, I do want to say this. Last year in the playoffs, Ty Lue shocked me as a coach. He's a way better coach than I gave him credit for, especially when it came down to adjustments. So him being that and his ability to relate to players, I think it's going to be, and they got Harry Giles too. I think it's going to be interesting with the Clippers. Them not having Kawhi is going to hurt them a little bit. So let's talk about the Kings. The Kings of the Staples Center. Purple and gold.
So I think the first thing we have to talk about with them is the depth. The depth on this roster this year.
It's there.
The depth on this roster this year. So if we're looking at this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6 different All-Stars. Am I wrong? Like all NBA players.
DJ,
Ralph,
DJ,
Kaminga,
Howard,
yeah.
Carmelo, Russ,
Mhm.
AD, LeBron,
Mhm.
Rondo, 7.
So Russ, LeBron, AD, Carmelo, Dwight, DeAndre. I always
Yep.
forget about DeAndre. So they have 7 all NBA players who have had the all NBA honors at one point.
Mm-hmm.
They have like guys, and this is if Vogel messes us up, he should be fired. If he messes us up, he should be fired.
They're putting a lot on Vogel. I wouldn't say that. Like everybody writes this team down. And full disclaimer, I'm a Laker fan. Like I've been a Laker fan pretty much my whole life. It's I don't care about those guys, right? We just said, and we've been saying throughout all of these previews and breaking down of these divisions that this is probably the deepest the league has been when you're talking youth and vets and as far as quality of talent, right?
Yeah.
We're looking at a chance where it's the 75th year, but it also could be the changing of a guard. This year could be the changing of the guard. So when you're talking changing the guard, it's like a young team could win a championship just as much as because of talent. Because like when you consider talent back in the day, like you look at a team like this and you're like, oh, that team could definitely win a championship. Like we think about Oklahoma when they had KD, they had Westbrook, and they had Harden, and they went to the championship, right?
Yeah.
Now imagine that type of team, and you look at Atlanta, and you look at the skill set that Atlanta has all across the board on their team.
Okay.
You get what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying.
Because when you look at these Lakers, every single one of these dudes have a story. Russ didn't start dunking until he was a senior, right? But he was overlooked. He goes to UCLA. He kills in UCLA, and he's drafted on his athleticism. So you got to remember, before these players in that era, you're drafted on potential and athleticism. Your athleticism determines your potential, which determines your draft status, right?
Yeah.
Dwight Howard, he was drafted on his athleticism. He was 6'11". He could jump 6'10", jump out the gym, jump out the building, dominant, and he got bigger. Jordan had a crappy year at Texas A&M because he should have never went to Texas A&M. He goes to second round, but he was a high school American too. Right. So you look at these guys and it's like, well, you look at Melo dominated for so long, they try to play him out the league. So I don't want to hear anything about, well, Melo used to do this and no, Melo has to star in his role. Right. But I'm not sitting out here and looking for Melo to drop 20. Right. This is the team that if LeBron was to take a back seat, this is the team to do it. As long as Russ got energy and he can go do that, how can we create those lanes? What I've seen so far in preseason is Russ actually cutting. If Russ cuts off of LeBron passes, can you stop that? Who can stop that?
No. So I'll say this. I know they have some great additions, right?
Oh yeah.
The biggest 100%. Loss that the biggest loss they have was that Caruso loss. Who's playing that Caruso position off the bench?
I don't think that's gonna be as big of a loss because of what they brought in. And it could
who did they bring in for defense?
For defense?
Because Caruso was locking mofos up, man.
I mean, but that's why they brought in the Trevor Ariza. One player that they brought in that I'm not happy about is Kent Bazemore. I didn't like Golden State played better when they got him off the team. I mean, like when they decreased his minutes last year.
Check this out. So I'm looking at ESPN's depth chart. Guess who they have as starting small forward?
Bazemore. Because he started last night.
Yes.
He started last night. But at the end of the day, because Frank wants a team that he wants to start lineup set already. The problem is Trevor Ariza's hurt. THC just got hurt. Yeah. So you're going in the season already injured. And this team, I don't see them clicking until maybe January. Yeah. I see it not going to be like an easy walk in the park. The one guy I think that could stand out in all of this is Malik Monk.
He definitely could. The microwave.
That's what they call him, but you know, Wayne Ellington is hurt.
Okay, so if I'm looking at this schedule right, I'm just gonna read their games all the way through halfway point through November. Golden State, Phoenix, Memphis, San Antonio, OKC, Cleveland, Houston, OKC, Portland, Charlotte, Miami, Minnesota, San Antonio, Chicago.
They gave him what should be cupcake games to start the season.
Correct.
Which means their tougher schedule is going to be at the end of the year, or it's going to be in the middle.
So now when I scroll through, this will be near the end of December through February 8th. I'm just going to go quick. Houston, Memphis, Portland, Minnesota, Sacramento, Atlanta, Memphis, Sacramento. Then here's where it starts getting a little tricky. Denver, Utah. You got a break with Indiana, Orlando, back to Miami, Brooklyn, 76. Like, they have one of the best schedules. Brooklyn, 76ers, Charlotte, Atlanta, Portland, LA, New York, Milwaukee. So their games are woven in there where if they possibly have a 3-game losing streak,
it's okay.
Here goes Orlando.
It's okay. They got the buffer. But once again, this is the type of season where you don't really have that much luxury because there's so much cream at throughout. And so you brought up defense too. Recently, you asked, well, guess who they bring in? And we brought in coach. We talked about coaching. They bring in Dave Fizdale, who's a defensive-minded coach.
They brought in LeBron's boy.
He's a defensive-minded coach. But at the end of the day, it's like, hey, this is LeBron's guy.
Yeah.
You know, Frank bought himself two, maybe 3 seasons because he got that championship. So, you know, I don't see any changes happening unless his team doesn't win a game for, the first 10 games. I'm not counting anything that happens in preseason. Honestly, I'm not counting anything. And I had this conversation with people recently because they were like, oh, well, Russ has all these turnovers. I'm like, okay.
He always does.
If you look at the first, when he got traded to Houston,
same thing happened.
He started off the season rough, and then by the time mid-December hit, good luck. And he hit his groove.
The first season without 80, same thing.
Same thing happened.
Mr. Triple Double, so it doesn't.
He adjusts, and the same thing happened in Washington. And then what happens if you can will Washington to a championship? And then now you actually got as much as I dislike LeBron, I respect what he brings to the table. He has one of the highest IQs. He's top 5 passer in the league. And I've said this, if you notice, the top 5 passer, you bring in another top 10 passer in Rondo. You bring in none. Reeves has been looking good. I still find it amazing that the Nets traded DeAndre Jordan to the Pistons for Seiko. Wave Seiko, and DeAndre Jordan and Seiko end up on the Lakers.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I'll be honest with you. I'm really mad my boy Mac isn't on this roster.
Nope. He's on their G League. That's how they did. So I'm all set with that because he's still in the Lakers. And Caruso was with the G League for 2 years before he made his break.
Listen, Mac, keep hooping, keep balling. Let's go.
Listen, as long as Cole Anthony's in the league, you got opportunity somewhere. I just don't know where.
Listen, that's a lesson. That's the lesson to say about the
Lakers. No, we're not leaving the Lakers on Mac, bro. So honestly, as long as there's no injuries to the core, I don't know what Anthony Davis is doing. He still look out of shape. He probably on that honeymoon high right now.
Good for him.
I mean, I'm happy that he got married and everything. I just feel like his game has dropped. Something in his game is missing. I don't know what it is. I haven't put my finger on
it. He's most dominant as a 5, but he wants to play the 4.
It don't matter.
He's most dominant at the 5, but he wants to play 4. That's what's missing.
I mean, you said there's no positions in the game. Now,
no. I told you. I told you there's only 3 positions on the court. There's a point guard, there's a wing, there's a center. He's most dominant as a center. He wants to be a wing player.
Because his body can't take it.
He's
His
most dominant.
body can't take the wear and tear. Like that's what I say. Like that's what I'm saying. Like when something's missing, it's because I don't think he's in. Like I don't think he's been in shape since they won a championship.
Listen,
And he's never had a full healthy season. So maybe one time.
Whatever.
His athleticism has dropped off considerably.
Listen,
in the last
you're not
couple
gonna.
years.
This is your team. You're not going to get me to say too much more about them.
Listen,
this is a good team. I have them second overall in the West for myself. They're going to be good.
I have them up there, but I also am I gotta be honest. I wouldn't be surprised if they're like a 4th or 5th seed come playoff time.
They're gonna make the playoffs. They're not gonna be a playing team.
They better make the playoffs. If they don't make the playoffs, then we're gonna have some type of conversations with Frank. So before we wrap this up, who you got for coach of the year? Real quick.
Coach of the year, Monty.
I got Kerr or Frank. If the Lakers end up number 1, then it's Frank. If Golden State ends up in the top 3 or 4, it's Frank. I mean, it's Kerr.
I got Monty because I think the NBA, I think those writers, whoever voted for him, I think they heard enough. Like he should have won last year. So if Phoenix is anywhere in the top 1 to top 3, give it to the man. All right.
They just went to the Western Conference Finals. I'm not giving that man in this division. Let's go. Who you got for most improved?
Jordan Poole, because we don't know the timetable on Clay. We don't know what Clay's going to be.
Jordan Poole helps him push the timetable back even further.
Yep. There's no need to rush, Clay. Take your time, buddy.
We're not in a hurry.
Who you got?
I got Malik Monk. I think he's gonna have a lot of opportunity in LA. And another guy is Jalen Smith in Phoenix. If he has improved, he can help out at that 4 or 5 position.
Yeah, I like your pick of Monk. I really do. Just because, especially with how old the Lakers are, you know, some of those old players. Listen, some of those older players, they're now transitioning into role players, right? So it might be kind of hard we saw Carmelo initially, it was kind of hard for him to transition to that role, but now he has it down pat. But you have a lot of older players for today's young youth in the NBA. Mm-hmm. Monk, he's going to come in and be like a bat out of hell, you know? He's going to go in there and he's going to be able to get way more playing time than what I think people think. So I like that pick of Monk.
I respect that. Who you got for well, you already said your rookie of the year. You got Kaminga, right?
Yeah, I got Kaminga. Now I had a funny on here. I said, "Yo, I'm my boy Mac McClung." But
so you looked at the Lakers roster and realized he ain't on the team. He ain't on that roster. But
no. I saw it and I was like, man, Lakers messed up. They could have had a rookie of the year. No, Kaminga. I for sure got Kaminga, hands down.
I got one of the Golden State boys or Davion.
I'm okay with that.
And then my wild horse was Reeves, but the only way he's playing is if there's going to be major injuries. But he can fill that Caruso role, by the way. Okay. I have to watch him. I don't know much about him, so. I'm going to send you this clip where he drops Maurice Harkless. He dropped him and then ended up passing it to LeBron while LeBron was streaking. And LeBron likes him. You know what it's like when LeBron likes an athletic. You good. You're set. You in the state. So MVP. Ooh. I got a tie between AD and Steph. In order for the Lakers to be a top team, AD is gonna have to actually dominate. Yeah. He can't play like he's playing an all-star game. He has to play for real. He's just playing with all-stars. Those all-stars are gonna set him up. And then I got Steph. I got if Golden State's if Golden State's top 2, top 3 is Steph. I have Steph if Golden State's not a playing team. Mm-hmm. If the Warriors are top 5, mm-hmm. Steph. Because stats, shooting efficiency, scoring efficiency, all those, he's gonna be super high. My second is, like I said, I have Phoenix being a top team in the West. Mm-hmm. I actually have Booker. I think this is his year to take another step. So I thought about Booker, but then I looked and I'm like, well, Chris Paul, no matter what Phoenix does, Chris Paul's going to get credit for it. if they win. So it's like they're gonna that takes away from Booker, and then if Ayton makes the jump, that's gonna take away from Booker too.
Yeah.
Well, I'm with it. Nobody from the Kings. First coach to get fired.
Luke.
It's crazy because that's the only coach that we want out.
Luke Walton.
In a league full of good coaches. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But let's wrap this up. Thank you for your time. We just finished the Pacific Division. If you want to check our other previews of the other divisions in the NBA, just check back on our. Now we got the playlist. Just check that out. Also look out for our Western Conference preview predictions, which will be coming soon. Outside of that, you got any last words? Our Eastern Conference is already up. Eastern Conference should already be up by now.
Perfect. I can't wait.
Any last words? Anything you want to tell the peeps?
Hey man, feel free to hit us up on Twitter. Like, share, follow.
Yes.
Questions, share it.
No trolls though.
Appreciate your time.
Definitely appreciate your time. Like, hit that subscribe button, share, tell a friend to tell a friend. The hottest team on the block is here. We not going nowhere. We did y'all like Steve for a year.
Don't win no
Bars. Okay. With that being said, y'all continue to walk in your greatness. Until next time.
Be easy.